in the heart of Boston, where the historic charm of brick-lined alleys clashes with the gleaming ambition of corporate towers. A tale of power, deception, and unexpected passion unfolds. Millionaire CEO falls for the woman he swore to destroy. Love and revenge collide in a shocking twist. Is a gripping saga that plunges into the ruthless world of high-stakes finance, where one man's quest for justice spirals into a forbidden romance that could shatter empires. Imagine a billionaire disguised as an ordinary employee, plotting to dismantle a family dynasty, only to find his heart entangled with the very woman at its center. This isn't just business, it's a high-wire act of betrayal, stolen moments, and heart-pounding revelations that will keep you guessing. Can vengeance survive the flames of true desire? We start at the explosive climax, where every word could tip the balance. Before we dive into today's tale, we need you to join our community of dreamers and story lovers. Hit that subscribe button and tap the bell icon to never miss a single episode of our heart-pounding sagas. Your support keeps this channel alive. At the end of the video, drop a comment letting us know what you loved most about this story, what kind of tale you'd love to see next, and any ideas you've got. Your voice matters so much to us. Together, we're building an incredible community of passionate fans, and we can't wait to hear from you. Now, let's get into the story. Rain pounded against the expansive windows of the executive suite high above Back Bay, turning the city skyline into a smeared canvas of shimmering lights and shadows. Ethan Harper stood near the glass, his posture rigid, the sleeves of his impeccably tailored navy suit rolled up as if ready for a fight or, perhaps, surrender. At 35, he was the self-made king of Boston's tech scene, the millionaire CEO and founder of Harper Tech Ventures, a juggernaut in financial innovation that had propelled him from humble beginnings to boardroom legend. His dark hair was from the wind outside, and his blue eyes burned with a intensity that had closed multi-million-dollar deals. But tonight, in this empty boardroom on the 40th floor, his empire felt fragile, exposed. As he faced the woman who had unwittingly appended his carefully laid plans, Sophia Lang perched on the edge of the long conference table, her arms folded tightly across her chest, her elegant black pantsuit rumpled from a long day that had stretched into this stormy night. At 28, she was the sharp-minded heir to Lang Investments, a powerhouse firm that dominated Boston's financial district with an iron grip. Her auburn hair framed a face that blended determination with a subtle vulnerability, her green eyes narrowing as she studied the man before her. To Sophia, he had been Evan Hayes, the unassuming junior analyst who joined her team months ago. Quiet, competent, with a dry wit that had made late-night work sessions bearable. But now, as thunder rumbled in the distance, the illusion was shattering. "You've been lying to me all this time," Sophia said, her voice steady but laced with a tremor of betrayal. She pushed off the table, closing the distance between them, her heels clicking sharply on the marble floor. "Evan or Ethan Harper, is it? The big shot CEO everyone's talking about. What is this, some kind of game?" Ethan's jaw tightened, his hands clenching at his sides. He had rehearsed this moment 100 times in his mind, but nothing prepared him for the raw emotion in her eyes. He turned fully toward her, the rain-streaked window framing him like a dramatic backdrop. "It's not a game, Sophia. It's justice. Your family destroyed mine. Lang Investments, your father's empire, rigged the market against my first startup. They spread lies, manipulated stocks, and when it all crashed, my sister, she couldn't handle it. The stress, the loss, it broke her. She took her own life because of what Victor did." Sophia's breath caught, her face paling as if he'd slapped her. She shook her head, stepping back slightly. "That's not true. My father wouldn't. He couldn't have. And even if he did, what does that have to do with me? I've been nothing but fair to you, Evan? Ethan. Whatever your name is." He laughed bitterly, the sound echoing in the empty room. "Fair? You think I infiltrated your company by accident? I came as Evan Hayes to get inside, to find proof of the fraud, the money laundering, all of it. I was going to expose everything, Victor, the whole Lang dynasty. You included, because I thought you were part of it. complicit in the lies that cost me everything. The air between them thickened, charged with years of unspoken pain. Sophia's mind raced, flashing back to the subtle clues she'd ignored the way Ethan or Evan, as she'd known him, always asked probing questions about old deals, the late nights where their conversations veered from spreadsheets to personal dreams. She'd felt a spark, something real in those moments, but now, it all felt tainted. "So what now?" she demanded, her voice rising. "You drag me up here in the middle of the night, to gloat. To tell me you're going to ruin my life, too." Ethan hesitated, his eyes softening for the first time that night. That was the problem, he didn't want to ruin her. Not anymore. Over the months, pretending to be Evan, he'd seen the real Sophia, the woman who stayed up late fighting for ethical investments, who confided in him about her doubts regarding her father's business practices. The attraction had snuck up on him, shared laugh over bad office coffee, a brush of hands during a presentation, the way she challenged his ideas with a fire that matched his own. What started as a calculated move had become something dangerously genuine. He stepped closer, close, enough to catch the faint scent of her perfume, a mix of jasmine and rain. I don't know," he admitted, his voice dropping to a whisper. The resentment that had fueled him for 2 years warred with the warmth he'd come to feel for her. "I came here to confront you, to make you admit what your family did, to press that button and send the evidence to every regulator in Boston. But, looking at you now, I can't. Because somewhere in all this deception, I fell for you, Sophia. The real you, not the Langheir, but the woman who's as lost in this mess as I am." Her eyes widened, a storm of emotions crossing her face: shock, anger, and something softer, perhaps recognition. "You expect me to believe that? After all the lies?" She turned away, pacing toward the window, her reflection ghostly in the glass. "If what you say is true, then help me understand. My mother's death, it was ruled an accident, but I've always wondered if Victor's capable of what you say." Before Ethan could respond, her phone buzzed on the table, vibrating insistently. Sophia snatched it up, her expression shifting to alarm. As she read the screen, "It's from an unknown number," she murmured, her voice tense. "The truth about Victor is closer than you think. Meet at Quincy Market tomorrow, or the evidence goes public." LT Ethan's pulse quickened. LT Lena Torres. The hacker he'd contacted months ago for dirt on the Langs. If Lena was reaching out to Sophia directly, the web of secrets was unraveling faster than he'd anticipated. Who was pulling the strings now, and what did Sophia know that she wasn't saying? "We need to talk about this," Ethan said, reaching out but stopping short of touching her arm. "If Lena's involved, this is bigger than us, but I can't let go of what your family did not." Yet, Sophia met his gaze, the rain outside mirroring the turmoil in her eyes. "Then prove it to me, Ethan. Show me the evidence. Because if you're right, we're both in danger." As thunder cracked overhead, Ethan realized this confrontation was just the beginning. The past that had brought him here was about to drag them, both into a deeper abyss of secrets and alliances. But how had it all started? The answer lay 2 years earlier, in the ruins of his shattered dreams. 2 years before that stormy night in Back Bay, Boston was a city of promise for Ethan Harper, a name that carried weight in the sleek boardrooms of the financial district. At 33, he was the wunderkind behind Harper Tech Ventures, a startup that had skyrocketed into a billion-dollar empire through cutting-edge financial algorithms and fearless acquisitions. His office on State Street, with its panoramic view of the harbor, was a testament to his riser kid from South Boston, who'd clawed his way out of a cramped triple-decker to become a titan. But beneath the tailored suits and confident smirks, Ethan carried a wound that no amount of money could heal. The loss of his sister, Emily, the only family he'd ever truly had. Millionaire CEO falls for the woman he swore to destroy. Love and revenge collide in a shocking twist. Takes us back to the moment that shattered his world and set him on a path of vengeance. A path that would lead him straight to Sophia Lang. The morning it all began, Ethan was pacing his penthouse in the Seaport District, the city's newest playground for the ultra-rich. Floor-to-ceiling windows framed the glittering skyline, but his focus was on the laptop screen, glowing on his glass desk. A cryptic email had landed in his inbox overnight. No sender name, just a subject line. The truth about your startups. Crash. His first company, Harper Analytics, had been his scrappy venture, built with Emily, who'd handled the marketing while he coded the algorithms. They'd been on the cusp of going public when it all collapsed 5 years ago. Investors pulled out overnight, stocks plummeted, and rumors of fraud, none of it traceable, had buried them. Emily, always the softer soul, had spiraled under the pressure. Her mental health crumbling until one devastating night she was gone, leaving Ethan with nothing but guilt and questions. He opened the email, his pulse quickening. Victor Lang orchestrated it all. Check the attached files. They don't want you to know. Attached was a trove of documents, internal memos, bank transfers, emails between Lang Investments and shady offshore accounts. Ethan's eyes narrowed as he scanned the evidence. Victor Lang, the patriarch of Boston's most powerful financial dynasty, had manipulated markets to tank Harper Analytics, spreading lies about cooked books to scare off investors. It wasn't just business, it was personal. Victor had targeted Ethan's company to eliminate a rising competitor, and the fallout had cost Emily her life. Ethan slammed the laptop shut, his breath ragged. He crossed to the bar cart, pouring a bourbon despite the early hour, the amber liquid trembling in his hand. Victor Lang, he muttered, the name like poison on his tongue. He'd met Victor once, at a tech conference in Cambridge, a silver-haired shark with a handshake that felt like a warning. Back then, Ethan had been too green to see the threat. Now, it was all clear. Victor's firm, Lang Investments, wasn't just a tight-knit, was a machine built on fraud, laundering money through tech startups and political connections. And Sophia Lang, Victor's daughter, was the polished heir who kept the empire's public face pristine. Ethan didn't know her, but he assumed she was complicit, raised in the same ruthless mold as her father. He needed to know more. Sitting back at his desk, Ethan dialed Amanda Ruiz, his director of operations at Harper Tech Ventures. Amanda, a sharp-witted executive with a knack for digging up corporate dirt, had been with him since the early days. Her voice crackled through the phone, warm but no nonsense. Ethan, it's barely 8. What's got you up? I got a tip, he said, keeping his tone even. Lang Investments. They tanked Harper Analytics. It wasn't random, Amanda. They set us up. There was a pause, then a low whistle. That's a big accusation. Victor Lang's untouchable friends in high places. All that, you got proof. I'm looking at it right now, Ethan said, scrolling through the files again. Bank transfers, fake audits, even a trail leading to some senator in Massachusetts. But I need more. I need to get inside their operation. Amanda's voice sharpened. Inside, Ethan, you're talking about a fortress. Lang Investments doesn't let outsiders peek at their books. You'd need to infiltrate, he cut in, his mind already racing. I go in as someone else. A nobody. Someone they'd never suspect. You, a nobody. Amanda laughed, but it was tinged with worry. You're on every business magazine cover in Boston. They'd spot you in a second. Not if I'm careful, Ethan said, leaning back, the plan forming like a storm in his mind. I'll change my look, my name, get a job low enough on the totem pole that no one looks twice. Junior analyst, maybe. I'll get the dirt from the inside, Amanda, and then I'll burn their empire to the ground. She sighed, the sound heavy with years of knowing him. This isn't just about the company, is it? It's about Emily. Ethan's throat tightened. He could still see his sister's smile. The way she'd light up when they brainstormed late into the night, dreaming of taking on the world together. They took her from me, he said quietly. I won't let them get away with it. Amanda didn't argue. Okay, but you'll need help? I can run background checks, pull strings. What else? I need a contact, Ethan said. Someone who can dig deeper than public records. A hacker, maybe. I know a name, Amanda replied after a beat. Lena Torres. She's a freelancer out of Dorchester, got a rep for exposing corporate scams. But she's unpredictable. You sure you want to play this game? I'm not playing, Ethan said, his voice hard. I'm ending it. Days later, Ethan sat in a dimly lit coffee shop in Jamaica Plain, across from Lena Torres. She was younger than he'd expected, mid-20s, with a laptop covered in stickers and a skeptical tilt to her mouth. So, you're the big shot CEO. Slumming it for Intel, Lena said, sipping her espresso. Why should I trust you? Because we want the same thing, Ethan said, sliding a flash drive across the table. Victor Lang's, dirty. These files are just the start. Help me get more, and I'll make it worth your while. Lena raised an eyebrow, plugging the drive into her laptop. Her fingers flew across the keys, her expression unreadable. This is heavy, she said finally. Offshore accounts, shell companies, even ties to a senator. But Lang's got layers of protection. You want in, you need to be invisible. I will be, Ethan said, leaning forward. I'm going in as Evan Hayes, junior analyst. No bid. Look twice, Lena smirked. Bold, stupid, but bold. I'll get you what I can, but don't expect me to hold your hand. And watch out for Sophia Lang. She's not just a pretty face, she's sharp. Cross her, and you're toast. Ethan nodded, but his mind was already on the next step. He spent weeks preparing, dyeing his dark hair a lighter shade, trading his custom suits for off-the-rack blazers, practicing a softer voice that wouldn't betray his South Boston roots. By the time he walked into Lang Investments for his interview, he was Evan Hazen, remarkable, eager, a blank slate with a fake resume Amanda had polished to perfection. The office was a sleek fortress of glass and steel. Buzzing with the hum of ambition, Ethan sat across from a hiring manager, his heart pounding but his face calm. Evan Hayes, the manager said, skimming his file. Solid credentials. Why Lang Investments? I want to learn from the best, Ethan said, flashing a humble smile. Your firm sets the standard. The manager nodded, unimpressed, but satisfied. Start Monday, don't screw it up. As Ethan left the building, he glanced up at the towering logo of Lang Investments, his blood thrumming with purpose. He was in. Step one of his revenge was complete. But as he stepped onto the bustling streets of the financial district, a flicker of doubt crept in. Could he really bring down Victor Lang without losing himself? And what about Sophia, the daughter? Lena had warned him about. Would she be his allure, his downfall? What secrets was Sophia hiding behind her polished exterior? And how would Ethan's disguise hold up in the lion's den? Boston's Beacon Hill, with its gaslit street lamps and ivy-clad brownstones, is a neighborhood where wealth whispers rather than shouts, a perfect stage for secrets and ambition. Here, in the heart of this historic enclave, Sophia Lang navigates a life of privilege shadowed by doubt. A woman caught between the glittering facade of her family's empire and the ghosts of a past she can't quite unravel. Millionaire CEO falls for the woman he swore to destroy. Love and revenge collide in a shocking twist. Now shifts to Sophia, the brilliant heiress whose world is about to collide with Ethan Harper's quest for vengeance. As she begins to question the empire her father built, one small crack in the foundation threatens to bring everything crashing down. Step into her world, where every smile hides a secret, and every discovery could cost her everything. Morning sunlight filtered through the tall windows of Sophia's townhouse on Mount Vernon Street, casting golden patterns across the hardwood floors. At 28, Sophia Lang was the polished face of Lang Investments, a financial juggernaut that shaped Boston's skyline as much as its economy. She stood before a full-length mirror, adjusting the collar of her tailored blazer. Her auburn hair swept into a sleek chignon. To the outside world, she was the epitome of control, an executive who commanded boardrooms with sharp insights and a disarming smile. But as she caught her own reflection, her green eyes betrayed a flicker of unease, a question she'd buried for years. What really happened to Mum? 10 years ago, her mother, Eleanor Lang, had died in a car crash on the winding roads of Cape Cod. A a tragedy the police called an accident. Sophia had been 18, a freshman at Harvard, when the news shattered her world. She'd clung to the official report black ice, a sharp turn, a terrible fluke. But lately, inconsistencies gnawed at her. A late-night conversation she'd overheard. As a teen, her father Victor's hushed tones about cleaning up loose ends. A missing police report she'd tried to track down last year, only to hit dead ends. And now, as she managed operations at Lang Investments, she was noticing discrepancies in the book's offshore transfers, vague client names, deals that didn't add up. Sophia sipped her coffee, the bitterness mirroring her thoughts as she sat at her kitchen island. Her townhouse was a blend of old-world charm and modern luxury antique chandeliers, hung above marble countertops, but it felt more like a stage than a home. Her phone buzzed, pulling her from her reverie. A text from Ryan Caldwell, her and a rising star in mergers and acquisitions. Dinner tonight at No 9 Park, 8 p.m. Need to talk strategy for the MIT startup deal. She typed a quick reply, sounds good, but her stomach twisted. Ryan, with his polished charm and political ambitions, had been her partner for 3 years, a match that seemed perfect on paper. He worked for a rival firm but consulted with Lang Investments, brokering deals that kept their empire humming. Yet lately, his late nights and evasive answers made her wonder. Was he really working on deals, or was there more to his strategy sessions? She pushed the thought aside, grabbing her briefcase and heading out into the crisp autumn air. The offices of Lang Investments, a gleaming tower in the financial district, buzzed with the quiet intensity of high finance. Sophia strode through the glass doors, nodding at colleagues as she made her way to her corner office. Her assistant, Clara, handed her a stack of reports. "Victor wants you at the board meeting at noon," Clara said, her tone clipped. "Something about the Cambridge tech portfolio?" Sophia nodded, but her mind was elsewhere. The Cambridge portfolio investments in biotech and AI startups near MIT had been her focus for months. A chance to steer the firm toward innovation, but the numbers weren't adding up. Last week, she'd found a transfer of $10 million to a shell company in the Caymans, labeled as consulting fees. When she'd asked Victor about it, he'd brushed her off with a smile. "Just standard practice, Soph. Don't worry your pretty head." The dismissal stung, but it wasn't new. Victor Lang, with his silver hair and commanding presence, treated her like a figurehead more than an executive. At 60, he was a titan who dined with senators and brokered deals that shaped Boston's future. Yet his charm hid a ruthlessness Sophia was beginning to see clearly. She settled at her desk, pulling up the portfolio files on her computer, her fingers hesitating over the keys. If Victor was hiding something, she needed proof, not just for herself, but to honor the nagging doubt about her mother's death. "Morning, Sophia." A voice broke her focus. Evan Hayes, the new junior analyst, stood at her door, holding a stack of printouts. She'd noticed him before, quiet, unassuming, with a boyish grin that softened his otherwise sharp features. He'd started a few weeks ago, and his knack for spotting errors in reports had already impressed her. "Hey, Evan," she said, forcing a smile. "What's this?" "Updated projections for the MIT deal," he said, setting the papers down. "Found a discrepancy in the funding sources, thought you'd want to see it." Sophia's brow furrowed as she scanned the pages. A line item jumped out, a $2 million allocation to a company called Blue Horizon, one she'd never heard of. "This isn't in our main ledger," she said, looking up. "Where'd you find it?" Evan shrugged, his expression casual. "Deep in the database, took some digging. Could be an error, but it's weird, right?" "Yeah, weird," she echoed, her mind racing. Was this another piece of the puzzle? She glanced at Evan, wondering why a junior analyst was so thorough. "Thanks for this. I'll look into it." "No problem," he said, lingering a moment longer than necessary, his gaze steady. "If you need help digging deeper, just say the word." As he left, Sophia's unease grew. Evan's diligence was helpful, but something about him felt off. Too observant, maybe. She shook it off, turning back to her computer. She needed answers, and she wasn't going to get them by trusting everyone around her. That evening, at No 9 Park, a chic restaurant tucked into Beacon Hill's historic streets, Sophia sat across from Ryan. The candlelight flickered, casting shadows on his angular face as he talked about the MIT deal. "It's a goldmine, Soph," he said, swirling his wine. "Those startups are the future. Victor's got the senator in his pocket, legislation's already moving to ease regulations." Sophia froze, her fork hovering over her plate. "The senator, which one?" Ryan's smile faltered, just for a second. "Oh, just some state guy. You know how Victor works, always greasing the wheels." "Right," she said, her voice tight, but her mind was spinning. A senator, shell companies. Her father's evasiveness, and now Ryan, acting cagey. She changed the subject, but as they left the restaurant, she made a decision. She'd start digging on her own. If Victor was involved in something dirty, she needed to know. Not just for the company, but for her mother's memory. Back at her townhouse, Sophia poured herself a glass of wine, her hands trembling slightly. She opened her laptop, pulling up old files from Lang Investments archives. Hours later, she found it. A single email from 10 years ago, buried in a deleted folder. It was from Victor to an unknown recipient, dated the day before her mother's crash. "Eleanor's asking too many questions. Handle it." Her heart stopped. Was this proof, or just another dead end? As she stared at the screen, her phone buzzed with a new message from an unknown number. "You're not the only one looking. Check Blue Horizon." LT. Sophia's breath caught. Who was LT, and how did they know what she was chasing? One thing was clear. Her world was unraveling, and someone or something was watching her every move. Who is LT, and what does Blue Horizon hide? As Sophia digs deeper, a stranger in her office is already one step ahead. The financial district of Boston pulses with ambition, its glass towers reflecting the dreams and deceits of those who play the game of power. Within the sleek walls of Lang Investments, a new player has entered, the borderman hiding behind a false name, driven by a vendetta that could topple an empire. Millionaire CEO falls for the woman he swore to destroy. Love and revenge collide in a shocking twist. Now dives into the heart of Ethan Harper's dangerous gamble as he navigates his disguise as Evan Hayes. Inching closer to Sophia Lang while a web of betrayal begins to tighten around them both. As secrets spill and loyalties fracture, one wrong move could unravel everything. Buckle up for a chapter where every glance is a risk, and every discovery comes at a cost. The hum of fluorescent lights filled the open-plan office at Lang Investments. A sprawling space of glass partitions and polished desks that screamed wealth and control. Ethan, disguised as Evan Hayes, adjusted his tie, a cheap polyester thing that chafed against his skin, a far cry from the silk he was used to. At his cubicle, he blended in perfectly. Just another junior analyst crunching numbers, his lightened hair and wire-rimmed glasses masking the billionaire CEO he truly was. But every keystroke on his computer was a step toward his goal, finding the evidence to destroy Victor Lang's empire. He'd been at it for weeks now, sifting through files, planting subtle queries in the system, all while keeping his head down. Yet his eyes kept drifting to Sophia's office, where she sat, her brow furrowed over a stack of reports. Sophia was a puzzle he hadn't expected. She was sharp, catching errors in presentations that senior analysts missed, but there was a quiet intensity to her, a guardedness that made Ethan wonder what she was hiding. He'd caught her staring at him a few times, her green eyes searching, as if trying to place him. It unnerved him, not because he feared being caught, but because those moments stirred something he wasn't ready to name. He shook it off, focusing on the screen. Today, he'd found something, a hidden folder labeled Blue Horizon, the same shell company Sophia had flagged days ago. It was a lead, and he needed to get closer to her to follow it. "Hey, Evan," a voice called, pulling him from his thoughts. Sophia stood at his cubicle, a rare smile softening her features. "Got a minute? I need a second pair of eyes on these projections." Sure thing, Ethan said, his voice deliberately mild, the South Boston edge carefully buried. He followed her to a small meeting room, the glass walls giving a clear view of the bustling office. As they sat, he noticed the faint circles under her eyes, the weight of something unspoken. "This Blue Horizon deal," Sophia said, sliding a printout toward him. "The numbers don't add up. It's listed as a consulting firm, but there's no record of their work." "You found this, didn't you?" Ethan nodded, keeping his expression neutral. "Yeah, it popped up in a data sweep. Could be a clerical error, but it's odd." "Odd doesn't cover it," she said, her voice low, almost conspiratorial. She leaned closer, her perfume a subtle mix of jasmine and cedar filling the space between them. "I checked the archives. Blue Horizons tied to transfers going back years, some even before my mum's accident." Her hesitation on the word accident sent a jolt through Ethan. Did she suspect Victor too? He wanted to press her, to ask what she knew, but that would blow his cover. Instead, he leaned in, mirroring her intensity. "You think it's connected to something bigger?" Sophia's eyes met his, searching again. "Maybe, but I can't shake the feeling someone's covering tracks. My father's been evasive." Before Ethan could respond, the meeting room door swung open. Marcus Hale strode in, his broad shoulders filling the frame. At 40, Victor's right-hand man was a former military strategist turned corporate enforcer, his sharp features and clipped tone commanding attention. "Sophia, Victor needs you upstairs," Marcus said, his gaze flicking to Ethan with mild suspicion. "Who's this?" "Evan Hayes' analyst," Ethan said, extending a hand. Marcus shook it, his grip just shy of crushing. "Just helping Sophia with some numbers." Marcus's eyes narrowed. "Keep it quick, we've got bigger fish to fry." He left, but the air felt heavier, like he'd left a warning behind. Sophia sighed, gathering her papers. "Thanks, Evan. Let's pick this up later, and keep this between us, okay?" "Of course," Ethan said, his smile easy but his mind racing. Marcus was trouble, he could feel it, and Sophia's suspicions about Blue Horizon were a crack in the Lang Empire he could exploit. But as she walked away, her shoulders tense, he felt a pang of guilt. She wasn't the enemy he'd imagined. That night, Ethan sat in his temporary apartment in South Boston, a modest rental far from his seaport penthouse. His laptop glowed with encrypted files from Lena Torres, the hacker Amanda had connected him with. Lena's latest message was brief. "Blue Horizons are front. Follow the money to the senator. Watch your back, someone's leaking docs." Ethan's pulse quickened. A leak. He'd been careful, but someone inside Lang Investments was spilling secrets. Was it Sophia, or someone else? The next morning, chaos erupted. Ethan arrived at the office to find employees whispering in clusters, security guards patrolling the halls. Sophia stood by the coffee machine, her face pale. "What's going on?" Ethan asked, keeping his tone casual. "Someone leaked internal memos," she said, her voice tight. "Emails about Blue Horizon, sent to the board anonymously. Victor's livid, he thinks it's an inside job." Ethan's stomach twisted. Lena hadn't mentioned sending anything to the board. This was someone else's move. He glanced across the office, catching Marcus in a heated conversation with Victor behind glass doors. Marcus's posture was too calm, too calculated. Ethan's instincts screamed. Marcus was behind the leak, playing his own game. Later, in the break room, Ethan overheard two analysts gossiping. "Heard Marcus is pushing Victor to sell off the Cambridge startups," one said. "Wants to cash out big before the feds start sniffing." Ethan's mind raced. If Marcus was orchestrating a power grab, he was a bigger threat than Victor. But why leak the memos? To destabilize the firm, or to frame someone else? Ethan needed answers, and he needed Sophia's trust to get them. That afternoon, he found her alone in her office, staring at a laptop screen. "Evan," she said, her voice weary. "You ever feel like you're working for the wrong side?" The question caught him off guard, her vulnerability disarming. "Sometimes," he said, choosing his words carefully. "But you don't strike Me, as someone who'd stay if you thought that. She looked at him, a spark of something gratitude, maybe flickering in her eyes. Maybe you're right, I just need to know the truth. Then let's find it, Ethan said, his heart pounding. He was crossing a line, getting too close, but he couldn't stop. I'll help you dig. Off the books. Sophia nodded, a tentative alliance forming. Okay, but if we're doing this, no secrets. Evan forced a smile, guilt gnawing at him. No secrets, except the biggest one, who he really was. As they shook hands, her touch lingering a moment too long, Ethan felt the first stirrings of something dangerous. Was he falling into his own trap? That night, his phone buzzed with a message from Lena. Marcus is meeting someone at the North End tomorrow. Get there, or you're out of moves. LT Ethan stared at the screen, the stakes rising. Marcus was making a play, and Sophia was closer to the truth than he'd thought. But whose side was Lena on? What is Marcus planning, and how will Ethan keep his cover as he and Sophia grow closer? The game is about to get deadly. Boston's North End hums with life, its narrow streets lined with trattorias and the scent of espresso. A deceptive calm, masking the city's undercurrents of power and deceit. Within this vibrant maze, secrets are traded like currency, and alliances shift faster than the autumn winds. Millionaire CEO falls for the woman he swore to destroy. Love and revenge collide in a shocking twist. Now, tightens the screws as Ethan Harper, still cloaked as Evan Hayes, uncovers damning truths about the Lang Empire while grappling with feelings he never expected. As Sophia Lang's world unravels with betrayals of her own, the stakes skyrocket, pulling them closer in a dangerous dance. Buckle up, because the revelations in this chapter will flip everything you thought you knew, and a single spark could ignite it all. Ethan adjusted his glasses, the cheap frames slipping slightly as he navigated the crowded sidewalks of Hanover Street in the North End. It was late afternoon, the golden light casting long shadows as he followed Lena's cryptic tip about Marcus Hale's meeting. His heart pounded, not just from the risk of being spotted, but from the weight of what he'd uncovered last night. After the leak of Blue Horizon memos at Lang Investments, Ethan had hacked deeper into the firm's encrypted servers, using a backdoor Lena had provided. What he found confirmed his worst fears. Victor Lang had orchestrated a deliberate smear campaign against Harper Analytics 5 years ago, falsifying audits to trigger a stock collapse. The final blow was a single email from Victor to a broker. Make sure Harper's sister feels the pressure. She's the weak link. Ethan's hands had shaken as he read it, the words searing into him. Emily's breakdown, her disparate, wasn't just collateral damage, it was calculated. He pushed the memory down, focusing on the task. Lena's message had been clear. Marcus was meeting someone at a cafe called La Dolce Vita, a tucked-away spot known for its discretion. Ethan slipped inside, blending with the afterwork crowd, his nondescript blazer and slacks making him invisible. He spotted Marcus at a corner table, his broad frame hunched over a coffee, speaking in low tones. To a woman in a sleek trench coat, her face was obscured, but her posture screamed confidence, someone used to getting what she wanted. Ethan edged closer, pretending to study the menu board. Victor's slipping, Marcus said, his voice barely audible. The senators. Getting nervous. If we don't move the funds soon, this whole thing blows up. The woman leaned in, her voice sharp. You promised me control, Marcus. If Victor's out, I'm in. Don't double-cross me. Ethan's pulse raced. The senator, Lena had mentioned ties to a Massachusetts state senator, and now Marcus was neck-deep in it. But who was the woman? Before he could hear more, Marcus glanced up, his eyes narrowing. Ethan turned away quickly, grabbing a coffee, and retreating to a table by the window. He needed to warn Sophia, but how, without exposing himself? Back at Lang Investments the next morning, the office was a pressure cooker. The leaked memos had sparked a media frenzy, with financial blogs speculating about fraud. Sophia was in her office, her door ajar, her face drawn as she scrolled through news alerts on her laptop. Ethan knocked lightly, holding a fresh stack of reports as his excuse. Hey, Got those updates you asked for, he said, stepping inside. Thanks. Evan, Sophia said, her voice weary. She gestured to a chair. Close the door, will you? I need to talk, Ethan complied, his heart skipping as he sat across from her. Her green eyes were stormy, a mix of determination and something softer fear, maybe. This leak, she said, leaning forward. It's not just about Blue Horizon. I found more transfers, millions, funneled through shell companies. And last night, I saw Ryan meeting someone at the Four Seasons. A woman. She handed him a flash drive. Ethan's stomach twisted. Ryan Caldwell, Sophia's fiancé, was a slick operator, but this was new. You think he's involved? He asked, keeping his tone neutral. I don't know what to think, Sophia admitted, her fingers tracing the edge of her desk. Ryan's been pushing me to sign off on these Cambridge startup deals, saying it's for the firm's future. But now, I'm wondering if he's playing me. And Victor's acting like nothing's wrong, but I can't trust him either. Ethan saw an opening. I've been looking into Blue Horizon, he said, choosing his words carefully. It's tied to offshore accounts, maybe even political payoffs. I can keep digging, if you want. Sophia's gaze locked onto his, searching. Why are you helping me, Evan? You're just an analyst. What's in it for you? The question hit like a dart. He wanted to tell her the truth that he was Ethan Harper, that her father had destroyed his life, but the words caught in his throat. Instead, he leaned closer, his voice low. Maybe I just don't like seeing smart people get played. You deserve better than that. For a moment, neither spoke. The air between them crackled, a spark of something neither could name. Sophia's lips parted, but before she could respond, her phone buzzed. She glanced at it, her face pulling. It's from that LT again, she said, showing him the screen. Senators taking bribes. Blue Horizon's the key. Meet me at Faneuil Hall tonight, or the press gets everything. Ethan's mind raced. Lena was escalating, contacting Sophia. Directly, was she trying to force his hand, or was someone else pulling her strings? You're not going alone, he said, the words out before he could stop them. It's too risky. Sophia raised an eyebrow, a faint smile tugging at her lips. You're protective for an analyst, Evan. Fine, come with me. But no games. Deal, Ethan said, his heart pounding. He was in deeper than he'd planned, and the attraction he felt was a dangerous complication. As they left the office that evening, walking toward Faneuil Hall, the North End's cobblestone streets glowed under streetlights. Sophia's shoulder brushed his as they navigated the crowd, and Ethan felt a jolt he couldn't ignore. She was supposed to be his target, but every glance, every shared moment, was blurring the lines. At Faneuil Hall, Lena was waiting in a shadowed corner, her hoodie pulled low. You brought a friend, she said, eyeing Ethan with suspicion. Hope. You trust him, Sophia. I do, Sophia said, her voice firm, though her glance at Ethan held a question. What do you know about the senator? Lena slid a USB drive across the table. Proof. Bribes from Lang Investments to Senator Michael Grayson funneled through Blue Horizon. He's pushing bills to deregulate tech startups, making Victor richer. But someone's leaking this to the press, and it's not me. Ethan's blood ran cold. If Lena wasn't the leaker, then Marcus was playing a bigger game. And the woman at the cafe, could she be Ryan's contact? Before he could ask, Lena vanished into the crowd, leaving them with the drive and a ticking clock. As they walked back through the North End, Sophia clutched the drive, her voice trembling. If this is true, my father's a criminal. And Ryan. I saw him with that woman again last night. I think she's a consultant, maybe from a rival firm. Ethan's jaw tightened. Ryan's betrayal was personal, but it also meant Sophia was closer to the truth than he'd expected. We'll figure it out, he said, his hand brushing hers briefly, a gesture that felt too natural. Together, she looked at him, her eyes soft but guarded. Why do I feel like you're hiding something, Evan? He forced a smile, guilt gnawing at him. Just trying to keep up with you. As they parted ways, Ethan's phone buzzed with a new message from Lena Ryans. Meeting the consultant again. Seaport, tomorrow night. Be there, or you're out of the game. The web was tightening, and Ethan was caught in it, torn between his mission and the woman he was starting to care for. Who is Ryan's mysterious consultant, and how deep does the senator's corruption go? As Ethan and Sophia grow closer, a new betrayal looms. Boston's autumn nights carry a chill that cuts through the city's polished exterior, revealing the raw edges of ambition and deceit. In the shadow of Lang Investments' towering empire, new players emerge, each with their own secrets and agendas, tightening the web around Ethan Harper and Sophia Lang. Millionaire CEO falls for the woman he swore to destroy. Love and revenge collide in a shocking twist. Now weaves in the voices of those on the fringes, allies, enemies, and those who blur the line between the two. As betrayals deepen and a dangerous trap closes in, Ethan and Sophia's fragile alliance faces its toughest test yet. Get ready for a chapter where loyalties fracture, secrets spill, and one wrong move could cost everything. The Seaport district glittered under the night sky, its waterfront restaurants buzzing with Boston's elite. Ethan crouched behind a row of parked cars, his breath fogging in the cool air, his eyes fixed on a sleek yacht docked at the marina. Lena's tip had been precise. Ryan Caldwell was meeting his mysterious consultant here, and Ethan needed to know who she was. Through binoculars, he spotted Ryan on the deck, his tailored coat flapping in the breeze as he handed a briefcase to a woman in a crimson dress. Her blonde hair caught the light, and her movements were sharp, professional, like someone who thrived in the shadows of corporate games. Ethan's gut twisted. This wasn't just a fling. Ryan was playing a deeper game, one that could threaten Sophia and derail Ethan's mission. He snapped a photo with his phone, texting it to Lena Torres. "Who is she?" he typed, his fingers stiffed from the cold. Lena's reply was instant. "Claire Donovan, corporate fixer for a rival firm. Watch out, she's poison." Ethan's jaw clenched. Claire Donovan, a name he'd heard whispered. In boardrooms, a consultant known for digging up dirt or burying it, depending on who paid more. If Ryan was working with her, he wasn't just cheating on Sophia, he was selling out Lang Investments. Maybe even setting her up to take the fall. Back at his South Boston apartment, Ethan paced, his mind racing. He needed to tell Sophia, but every step closer to her risked exposing his own lies. His phone buzzed again, this time with a call from Amanda Ruiz, his director of operations at Harper Tech Ventures. Amanda's voice was clipped, urgent. "Ethan, we've got a problem. Someone's sniffing around our servers, tried to hack into your old Harper Analytics files. I traced it to a Dorchester IP. Sound familiar?" "Lena," Ethan muttered, his stomach sinking. "She's supposed to be on our side." "Supposed to be," Amanda said, her tone dry. "But I dug into her history. She's got a past with Marcus Hale, ex-military guy, works for Victor. They were involved years ago, before she went rogue. If she's feeding you intel, she might be feeding him too." Ethan's blood ran cold. Marcus Hale, Victor's right-hand man, had been on his radar since the leaked memos, but a connection to Lena was occurring. Amanda's voice softened. "Be careful, Ethan. Marcus isn't just muscle, he's strategic, and if he's playing both sides, you're walking into a trap." "Thanks, Amanda," he said, rubbing his temples. "Keep an eye on our systems. I'll handle Marcus." He hung up, his mind spinning. Amanda Ruiz had been his rock for years. A 38-year-old executive with a razor-sharp mind and a loyalty he'd never questioned. But her mention of Marcus stirred unease. She'd sounded almost too familiar with him, like there was history she wasn't sharing. Ethan pushed the thought aside. He had bigger problems. At Lang Investments the next morning, the office was a storm of hushed whispers. A financial news portal had published a scathing piece about Blue Horizon, hinting at ties to political corruption. Sophia stood by the coffee machine, her face pale, clutching a tablet. Ethan approached, his heart tugging at her obvious distress. "You okay?" he asked, keeping his tone soft, the Evan Hayes persona firmly in place. "No," Sophia admitted. her voice low. "This article, it's got details only someone inside would know. And Ryan, he's dodging my calls. I think he's involved." Ethan saw his chance. "I heard something last night," he said, leaning closer. "About a consultant, Claire Donovan. She's working with someone in the firm, maybe leaking info." Sophia's eyes widened. "Claire? I met her at a gala last month." Ryan introduced her as a client. Her voice trembled, betrayal seeping through. "If he's working with her, then everything our engagement, the deals, it's all a lie." "Let's find out," Ethan said, his hand brushing hers briefly, a gesture that sent a spark through him. "I've got a contact who can help. But we need to move fast." Sophia nodded, her jaw set. "Okay, Evan, I'm in. But if we're doing this, I need to know I can trust you." "You can," he lied, guilt twisting in his chest. "Every moment." With her made his mission harder, the line between Evan and Ethan blurring. As they planned to dig deeper, a new email hit Sophia's inbox, marked urgent. It was from Tyler Brooks, a journalist at Boston Finance Weekly. "Meet me at Boston Common tonight. Got evidence on Blue Horizon and the senator. Come alone or with someone you trust." "Tyler Brooks," Sophia murmured. "He's been hounding me for comments." "Why now?" Ethan's instincts flared. "Could be a trap. Ryan's desperate, and Marcus is moving pieces we don't see. Let me come with you." She hesitated, then nodded. "Fine, but no surprises, Evan." That night, Boston Common was a sea of shadows, the park's ancient trees swaying in the wind. Ethan and Sophia arrived at the designated bench, where Tyler Brooks waited. A lanky man in his 30s with nervous eyes and a messenger bag clutched tightly. "Sophia," Tyler said, glancing at Ethan. "Who's this?" "Evan, a colleague," she said. "What's the evidence?" Tyler pulled out a folder, his hands shaking. Emails between Victor and Senator Michael Grayson. Bribes millions funneled through Blue Horizon to push deregulation bills. "But someone's onto my Ryan Caldwell filed an injunction to block my story, claiming it's libel. I'm being silenced." Ethan's mind raced. Ryan's trap was clever, using legal pressure to bury Tyler's story. But why? To protect Victor, or to cover his own tracks with Claire? "We'll get this out," Ethan said, his voice firm. "But we need to verify the evidence first." Tyler nodded, but before he could hand over the folder, headlights flashed nearby. A black SUV screeched to a stop, and two men in suits stepped out, their faces obscured. "Brooks," one shouted, "you're done." Sophia grabbed Ethan's arm, her eyes wide. "We need to go now." They bolted, Tyler clutching his bag as they darted through the park. The men in pursuit. Ethan led them to a side path, his heart pounding as he shielded Sophia. They lost the pursuers in the maze of trees, but the encounter left them shaken. At a quiet corner near Park Street, Tyler gasped. That was Ryan's doing. He's covering for Victor and someone else. Who? Sophia demanded, her voice fierce. Tyler hesitated. "I don't know, but Marcus Hale's name keeps coming up. He's got dirt on everyone." Ethan's blood ran cold. Marcus, Lena, Claire, Ryan, the web was tightening, and he and Sophia were at its center. As they parted ways with Tyler, promising to protect his evidence, Sophia turned to Ethan, her eyes searching. "You're more than just an analyst, aren't you?" He forced a smile, his heart racing, "just trying to keep up with you." But as they walked away, Ethan's phone buzzed with a new message from Lena. "Marcus knows you're not who you say what you're back, or Sophia's next." The game was spiraling, and Ethan was running out of moves. What does Marcus know, and how will Ethan protect Sophia as their worlds collide? A storm is brewing, and it's about to break. Boston's Fenway Park, usually alive with the roar of baseball fans, transforms into a glittering stage for the city's elite under the glow of a charity gala, where wealth and power mask a brewing storm of betrayal. As secrets unravel and alliances fracture, Ethan Harper and Sophia Lang stand on the edge of a truth that could destroy everything they've fought for or bind them in a way neither expected. Millionaire CEO falls for the woman he swore to destroy. Love and revenge collide in a shocking twist. Now races toward a crescendo, where shocking revelations about the past collide with a passion neither can deny. Hold on tight, because this chapter's twists will leave you breathless, and one fateful night will change the game forever. The air in Sophia's Beacon Hill townhouse was thick with tension as she sat at her desk, the glow of her laptop illuminating her face. It was late, the kind of hour where the world felt too quiet, too raw. She'd been digging through the USB drive Tyler Brooks had given her, the one with emails tying her father, Victor Lang, to Senator Michael Grayson. Each message was a dagger. Payments funneled through Blue Horizon, promises of deregulation bills, and one chilling line from Victor, dated a decade ago. The day before her mother's car crash, Eleanor's getting too close. Make it clean. Sophia's hands trembled as she read it again, her heart pounding. Her mother's death wasn't an accident, it was murder, orchestrated by the man she'd trusted her whole life. She slammed the laptop shut, tears burning her eyes. How could Victor do this? And how had she been so blind? Her phone buzzed, snapping her back to the present. A text from Evan Hazelton, as she now suspected, though he hadn't admitted it. Meet me at Quincy Market. We need to talk about Tyler's evidence. Sophia hesitated. Evan had been her ally, his steady presence a lifeline in this chaos, but his intensity, his knack for knowing too much, made her wonder, was he really just an analyst? She grabbed her coat, needing answers as much as she needed air. Quincy Market was alive with evening crowds. The scent of clam chowder and fresh bread mingling with the crisp autumn breeze. Ethan stood by a food stall, his nondescript blazer, blending with the tourists, but his eyes locked onto Sophia the moment she appeared. "You okay?" he asked, his voice soft but urgent as he guided her to a quieter corner. "No," Sophia admitted, her voice cracking. "I found something. About my mum, Victor. He had her killed." She choked on the words, tears spilling over. She was asking questions about his deals, and he made it look like an accident. Ethan's face darkened, his own pain mirroring hers. He'd come to destroy her family, but seeing her like this broken, vulnerable tore at him. "I'm so sorry," he said, his hand hovering near her shoulder, hesitant. "I know what it's like to lose someone to Victor's games." She looked up, her eyes searching his. "What do you mean, Evan? Who are you really?" He froze, the weight of his lie pressing down. He wanted to tell her he was Ethan Harper, the man who'd sworn to ruin her father for destroying his sister, Emily, but before he could speak, his phone buzzed with a message from Lena Torres. "Check your email. Ryan's dirt is deeper than you think." Ethan opened the email, his blood running cold. It was a dossier on Ryan Caldwell, revealing he was Victor's illegitimate son, groomed to inherit Lang Investments. Worse, Ryan had orchestrated Ethan's ousting from Harper Analytics years ago, planting false evidence to trigger the collapse that broke Emily. "Ryan," Ethan growled, showing Sophia the screen. "He's not just cheating on you, he's Victor's son. He set up my first company to fail, working with your father." Sophia's jaw dropped, her world crumbling further. His son, that's why he's been pushing these deals, cozying up to Claire Donovan. "He's been playing me from the start." Ethan nodded, his anger mixing with guilt. "I've been digging too. Ryan's using Claire to leak just enough to destabilize the firm, making it easier for him to take over when Victor steps down." They stood in silence, the market's chatter fading into a dull roar. Sophia's hand brushed Ethan's, a fleeting touch that sent a spark through him. "We need to stop them," she said, her voice firm despite the tears. "But I can't do it alone." "You're not alone," Ethan said, his voice low, the words carrying more weight than he intended. Their eyes met, and for a moment, the world narrowed to just them, the shared pain, the shared fight. He wanted to pull her close, to promise he'd fix this. But his secret held him back. The next evening, Fenway Park was transformed for the annual Lang Investments Gala, a dazzling affair of crystal chandeliers and black tie elegance. Ethan, still as Evan, navigated the crowd, his eyes scanning for Marcus Hale. Lena's latest tip had been chilling. Marcus was aligning with Lena to expose Victor, but his motives were murky. Was he after power, or something else? Ethan spotted Marcus by the bar, his military bearing unmistakable, as he whispered to Claire Donovan, Ryan's consultant. The sight confirmed Ethan's fears. Marcus was double-dealing, playing Victor and Ryan against each other. Sophia, radiant in a sapphire gown, approached Ethan, her smile strained. "Any sign of trouble?" she asked, her voice low, as they moved to a quieter corner near the stadium's iconic green monster. "Not yet," Ethan said, his gaze lingering on her. "But Marcus is talking to Claire. They're planning something big." Before Sophia could respond, Victor took the stage, his silver hair gleaming under the lights as he toasted to the firm's future. But whispers rippled through the crowd, rumors of a financial crash tied to Blue Horizon, stocks plummeting as regulators circled. Ethan's phone buzzed again. Lena, with a warning. "Markets tanking." Marcus leaked more to the feds. "Get out now. We need to move," Ethan whispered, grabbing Sophia's hand. They slipped out to a service corridor, the gala's music fading behind them. "Marcus is crashing the firm to take control. Lena's helping him, but I don't trust either of them." Sophia's eyes widened. "Then we need Tyler's evidence. It's our only leverage." They agreed to meet later, away from the chaos. That night, in a dimly lit apartment in South Boston, Ethan and Sophia sat across from each other, the weight of their discoveries heavy between them. The small space, with its exposed brick and flickering candles, felt like a sanctuary from the storm outside. "I don't know who to trust anymore," Sophia said, her voice soft, her eyes locked on his. "Except, maybe you." Ethan's heart raced. He wanted to tell her everything, his real name, his mission, but instead, he reached for her hand, his thumb brushing her knuckles. "You can trust me," he said, the lie tasting bitter. "I'm here, Sophia." She leaned closer, her breath warm against his cheek. "Why does it feel like I've known you forever, Evan?" The question broke something in him. He cupped her face, their lips meeting in a kiss that was both desperate and inevitable, a collision of need and truth. For one night, they let the world fall away, their shared pain forging a bond neither could deny. But as dawn broke, Ethan knew the truth was closing in. Can Ethan keep his secret as the gala's fallout threatens to expose everything? And what final truth will push him and Sophia to the edge? Boston's financial district stands as a monument to ambition, its towering skyscrapers hiding secrets that can topple empires or forge new beginnings. As the dust settles from a whirlwind of betrayal and revelations, Ethan Harper and Sophia Lang face a final reckoning, where the line between vengeance and love blurs into something neither could have foreseen. Millionaire CEO falls for the woman he swore to destroy. Love and revenge collide in a shocking twist. Reaches its heart-pounding conclusion, where conspiracies unravel, truths are laid bare, and a love born in deception fights to survive. Hold on tight, this final chapter will leave you stunned. As two broken souls find a future in the ashes of their past. The morning after their night in South Boston, Ethan woke to the soft light filtering through the apartment's curtains, Sophia's steady breathing beside him. For a moment, he let himself linger in the warmth of her presence, her auburn hair splayed across the pillow, her face peaceful in sleep. But the weight of his secret, his true identity as Ethan Harper, the man who'd infiltrated her life to destroy her family, pressed down like a stone. Last night's kiss, their shared vulnerability, had changed everything. He couldn't hate her anymore. She wasn't the complicit heiress he'd imagined. She was a victim, just like him, caught in Victor Lang's web of lies. Sophia stirred, her green eyes meeting his, a mix of tenderness and resolve. "We can't stay here forever, Evan," she said, her voice soft but firm. "Whatever's coming, we face it today." He nodded, his throat tight. "I know, but there's something I need to tell you first." He took a breath, ready to confess, but his phone buzzed, interrupting. A message from Lena Torres, board meeting at Lang Investments. Noon, Marcus is making his move. Bring Tyler's evidence, or it's over. Sophia's phone lit up too, with a similar message from an unknown number. Asterisk, Victor's calling an emergency board meeting, she read, her brow furrowing. He's trying to spin the Blue Horizon scandal. We need to be there. Ethan's heart raced. This was at the moment to expose Victor, Ryan, and Marcus. But it meant risking everything, including Sophia's trust. Let's do this, he said, his voice steady despite the storm inside. Together, the boardroom at Lang Investments was a fortress of glass and steel, its long tables surrounded by executives in tailored suits, their faces tense as Victor stood at the head, his silver hair gleaming under the fluorescent lights. Marcus Hale flanked him, his military posture rigid, while Ryan Caldwell sat to the side, his polished charm masking a nervous edge. Sophia and Ethan slipped in, taking seats near the back, Tyler Brooks' folder of evidence tucked into Sophia's briefcase. The air crackled with anticipation, the weight of the firm's crumbling empire palpable. Victor's voice boomed, commanding attention. We've faced rumors before, he said, his smile practiced. Blue Horizon is a minor issue, a clerical error. Our focus is the future: new investments, new partnerships. Ryan's leading a deal with Cambridge startups that'll put us back on top. Ryan nodded, but his eyes darted to Sophia, who sat stone-faced. Ethan watched, his mind racing. Victor was lying, and Ryan was complicit, but Marcus's calm demeanor was what unnerved him most. Lena's warning echoed. Marcus was making a move. Was he about to betray Victor, or had he been playing them all? Sophia stood, her presence commanding the room. Enough, she said, her voice cutting through Victor's spin. Blue Horizon isn't an error. It's a front for money laundering, tied to bribes for Senator Michael Grayson. I have proof. She slid Tyler's folder onto the table, emails and bank records spilling out. Gasps rippled through the room. Victor's face darkened, but before he could speak, Marcus stood, his voice cold. She's right. Victor's been skimming millions. For years, using shell companies to fund political favors. I've got my own evidence. He tossed a USB drive onto the table, his eyes locking with Ethan's for a split second. Ethan's pulse spiked. Marcus was turning on Victor. But why? Was this Lena's doing? Or was Marcus positioning himself to take over? Ryan jumped up, his face flushed. This is outrageous. Sophia, you're out of line. And you, he pointed at Ethan. Who the hell are you, anyway? The room fell silent, all eyes on Ethan. Sophia turned to him, her expression a mix of trust and doubt. This was the moment he'd dreaded. He stood, shedding the Evan Hayes persona like a too-tight skin. My name is Ethan Harper, he said, his voice steady but raw. 5 years ago, Victor Lang destroyed my company, Harper Analytics, with lies and fraud. It cost me my sister, Emily. I came here to expose him, to bring down Lang Investments. But I didn't expect to find someone like you, Sophia. Her eyes widened, betrayal flashing across her face. You lied to me, she whispered, stepping back. All this time, you were using me. No, Ethan said, his voice breaking. I thought you were part of it, but you're not. You're fighting the same fight I am, and I love you. The room erupted in murmurs, but Sophia's gaze held his, tears brimming. Before she could respond, Marcus laughed, a cold, sharp sound, touching Harper. But you're too late. I've already sent the evidence to the feds. Victor's finished, and I'm taking the reins. Ryan lunged at Marcus, shouting, You traitor! But security guards pulled him back. Victor, his face ashen, sank into his chair, the weight of his crimes exposed. Ethan seized the moment, grabbing the USB drive Marcus had thrown. Not so fast, he said, holding it up. This stays with us until we know who's really pulling the strings. As chaos unfolded, Ethan and Sophia slipped out, racing to the elevator. In the quiet hum of the descent, she turned to him, her voice trembling. You should have told me, Ethan. But I get it, Twy. You came here, my father. He took everything from us both. Ethan took her hand, his heart pounding. I never meant to hurt you. I thought I wanted revenge, but all I want now is you. She squeezed his hand, a fragile truce forming. Then help me end this. For my mum, for your sister. They stepped out into the financial district's bustle, the city alive around them. Hours later, with Lena's help, they leaked the full evidence to the press, exposing Victor Ryan and Senator Grayson. Marcus's power grab failed as the feds closed in, his alliance with Lena unraveling when she turned on him, revealing his own role in the money laundering. Claire Donovan vanished, her trail cold. But Ryan's betrayal was laid bare. He'd been using Sophia to secure his inheritance, only to lose everything. In a quiet cafe in Back Bay. Days later, Ethan and Sophia sat across from each other, the weight of the past lifting. What now? She asked, her smile tentative, but real. We've got no empire, no lies, just us. Ethan grinned, his heart lighter than it had been in years. Us is enough. Let's build something new together. As they walked into the Boston sunset, the future was uncertain but bright, a canvas for two souls who'd found love in the wreckage of revenge. But in a city built on secrets, who else might be watching? The conspiracy is over, but is their story just beginning?